Uh-oh.
Okay, we'll start with this. Our continued coverage of all this past weekend's action south of the border in Cancun, Golden Boy Promotion Show, where Yokasta Valle moved up in weight 2 weight classes to take on former champion Marlen Esparza.
What we saw.
A scrappy affair and many scrappy exchanges where, to the look of it, Yokasta Valle was the faster fighter of the two and better in the pocket, better in the exchange, which made all the difference.
That's her sweet spot.
Ahead of the fight, I talked about how there's not a big discrepancy in terms of height or length between Yokasta and Marlen, and that leaves the door open for Yokasta to pull this off in tandem with Marlen Esparza not being a very big puncher. Oh, she's bigger than Yokasta in terms of weight. She's heavier, but that doesn't actually translate into power. And that's mostly because a lot of the weight on Marlen Esparza is in the trunk, and it's not in her legs. Power is drawn from the ground up, and you will notice that Marlen Esparza's legs, they're not big and meaty. Most of the meat on Marlen is in the trunk, so even if she is noticeably heavier than Yokasta, she's not actually that big a puncher. So between not being that big a puncher and not being that much taller or that much longer than Yokasta, it's gonna boil down to styles, and in terms of styles, Yokasta is a more prolific puncher than Marlen, a busier fighter, busier within the round, busier throughout the fight.
Kept her shape better, too.
By round 6, Marlen Esparza is huffing and puffing in her corner, exhausted.
Pace was getting to her, likely the byproduct of trying to stay at a weight she no longer belongs in.
This was contracted as a flyweight contest, except that Marlen didn't actually make flyweight. She missed it by a pound or so, and for trying to get down to flyweight, why not just move up to superfly, which won't be as hard?
Byproduct of staying at a weight too long is it shows up in your performances. You gas out, you're tired, you don't take a good shot, and you don't give one either. It saps your power.
Contracted weight, I think, affected Marlen Esparza, whereas for Yokasta, it may have been a breath of fresh air, not having to boil down to the minimum weight division where she currently reigns as WBC champion. She was fresh, fast, sharp.
And I think she's gonna move back down now.
Even though she won, I don't really like these needless fluctuations in weight, that the fight before last was at minimum, the fight after that was at fly.
To go back down to minimum.
I think a better use of Yokasta Valle's time would have been getting her one of the other champions at her own weight, setting up a unification match, because so long as they do, she stands a strong chance of becoming the minimum weight division's next undisputed champion in the absence of Sinicia Estrada, who has since retired.
A new crop of champions has sprouted. Yuko Kuroki of Japan is the reigning WBA champion. Germany's own Sarah Borman's got the WBO, and currently the IBF title is still registered as being vacant and will be on the line in the rescheduled Seoul Kudos versus Seoul Baumstar fight.
And I think Yokasta Valle beats them. She beats them all. She beats Yuko Kuroki. She beats Sarah Borman.
She beats the winner of Baumstar versus Kudos.
She beats them all. And I can only hope that she returns to her own division, match fit, healthy, and ready to take over, because so long as she does, she can. Congratulations to her for a win over Marlen Esparza. It's a nice feather in her cap. Would have been better if it were actually for a title.
Gabby Fundora's got all the belts. She's got all the titles, and I hope that they don't have it in their head to make a Yokasta Valle versus Gabi Fundora fight.
Because I still don't understand why they had Yokasta Valle fight Marlen Esparza at flyweight of all places.
In the main event, we saw the second fight, the rematch between WBC interim champion William Zepeda and former champion Stevenson Farmer. And it was really just a clone of their initial meeting, a clone of the first fight. It went exactly the same way, minus the flash knockdown.
Here comes William Zepeda throwing punches in bunches, greatly outworking Stevenson Farmer, who's working hard just to stay on his feet.
Survive.
There were moments in the fight where Stevenson Farmer's literally grabbing onto the ropes from exhaustion, moving from one end of the ring to the other as William Zepeda closes in, staying on top of him, throwing combinations, non-stop combinations.
Head punches, body punches.
The output from William Zepeda was phenomenal, which calls into question his punching power, that if you're throwing that much and landing that much and the guy's still there, it's either you don't hit that hard or this guy's just durable.
The truth may be somewhere in the middle, because need I remind you that Giovanni Cabrera, who managed to go the distance with Isaac Cruz, didn't make it past the third round with William.
William stopped him. William knocked him out with a body shot, where Isaac Pitbull Cruz, who seems a big puncher to some, he couldn't.
He couldn't knock him out.
So that when a Stevenson Farmer goes the distance 2 times with a William Zepeda, I think that has more to do with Stevenson Farmer's survival instincts, survival skills, and his durability. I know that he's been knocked out before, but that was years ago, and he's vastly improved since then. So when I see him go 12 rounds yesterday with William, I think to myself, this kid's just tough. There's no quit in him.
But like I said, it was just a repeat of their initial meeting. It was just a repeat of the first fight. William Zepeda is greatly outworking Stevenson Farmer, and there's a little more that Stevenson Farmer can do about it, but move from one end of the ring to the other, then the other, then the other.
Watching this fight, I couldn't help but think about Shakur Stevenson and this entire thing between him and William Zepeda, how I feel Golden Boy Promotions should stop getting in the way and let William have the fight. Because this kind of output, this kind of work rate, is a pure boxer's kryptonite. You don't need to keep protecting William from Shakur.
And they have, let's not pretend.
When you hold a fight to ransom for a signature from Shakur Stevenson saying, either you signed a Golden Boy or no fight, what is that if not protecting William Zepeda?
That's what Oscar said, unless we forget the quote-unquote injuries that saw the fight canceled.
William does not need to be protected from Shakur Stevenson. He's still WBC interim champion, and Shakur's the full champion. He's got the full title. So long as that is the situation, this will continue to be a conversation. At what point does the WBC order it? Is William really ready to have that fight? Because if he is, he stands a chance. Too many people in boxing have gotten comfortable with the idea that this sport, this brutal sport, is in any way a ballet or a waltz.
The love affair with the Sugarfoot fighters and the technicians, the tacticians. They think that's all there is to boxing.
So long as you got a halfway decent jab and roll punches off the shoulder, you're all set.
You're a world champion.
I think Shakur Stevenson is an elite level fighter and one of the best boxers pound for pound in the sport right now. But make no mistake, William could be a nightmare for him. Pressure guys are usually a nightmare for pure boxers because of their physicality, their brutality. It seems simple from the outside looking in, but when you're in there and one of these guys is bearing down on you, taking one to give one,
it's not so simple.
For every one punch that a Shakur Stevenson throws, William's gonna throw 3 and 4, 4 and 5, maybe 6.
You know Shakur Stevenson has hand issues, and you know that he's not really a knockout merchant.
If you can't get this guy's respect, what's stopping him from busting through the front door and throwing 5 and 6 punches at a time at you?
What's stopping him?
What, Shakur Stevenson's gonna sit in the pocket with him and trade punches with him? That's what he wants. That's what a William Zepeda wants you to do, and I don't think you can beat him at his own game. You don't have the output, you don't have the power.
Pretending that you do may show up in your energy reserves, or the lack thereof. Trying to keep up with this guy may exhaust you, because that's what it usually does to pure boxers.
It's an intriguing fight, And I don't want to count Shakur Stevenson out, but I don't see enough people counting William Zepeda in. That stylistically, this is a dangerous fight for Shakur Stevenson. And Golden Boy Promotions needs to get out of the way and let William have it.
Let it happen.
What does the rematch look like between Lamont and Gervonta, you think?
I like Lamont in the rematch.
You were one of the few that kind of picked Lamont to begin with. Why was that?
I sparred with Lamont. I knew that he was a good fighter. He helped me get ready for the Oscar Valdez fight. And I knew his style, with Tank style, what he was going to be able to bring to the table. I knew it. So.
Did you really win 20 rounds?
I swear to God, on my daughter's life, I won that much money.
How different does a rematch look in your opinion, Shakur? What adjustments do you think we see from both?
Huh?
What adjustments do we see from both in a rematch?
I think I can't tell you game plans. I could be fighting these guys, so I'm gonna keep my secrets to myself. But truthfully, they both good fighters.
Do you think it's a lot different rematch, or do you think it'll be close again?
It's gonna be a hell of a fight.
How did you see Tank in that fight? A lot of people are saying maybe he's just mentally not there. What did you see?
Nah, he was the same Tank. I don't believe that. I don't got no thought in my brain that makes me think that he wasn't the person he been all of these other fights. I think he was the same person. All this stuff that he going through stuff. I mean, everybody go through stuff. So he's the same fighter. He's going to be the same fighter throughout his career. So
I kind of agree with Shakur, at least in parts. While I do think that Gervonta Davis was looking past Lamont Roach, which is why he landed on him in the first place, because he identified him as a safe choice.
You can't make excuses for him.
Looking past Lamont Roach is not an excuse for the performance and everything that happened, because if you are who they say you are, then you can adjust in the midst of the fight. If the guy's a little bit better, or a lot better than you thought, the elite guys, the really good ones, make in-fight adjustments. Gervonta Davis could not.
Shakur Stevenson says that Lamont is going to win the rematch. I don't know if he's being serious or what.
I've thought about the potentiality of the rematch, what it might look like if Gervonta Davis takes the assignment more seriously.
What adjustments is he going to make? What adjustments does he have to make? Because he's never been in a situation like this. He's never had a rematch as a professional.
And he's mentally weak. I haven't changed my stance on that. All the stuff that people have been saying in the subsequent days and weeks that have followed that fight with Lamont Roach, I feel like it could be getting to him. And if it is...
He's a mentally weak fighter. That's why he tried to bite Lamont Roach in the fight out of frustration. That's why he made all the excuses that he made. That's why he took a knee after taking a couple of shots and ran to his corner.
He's a mentally weak fighter, and his stock is at an all-time low. People are doubting him. So does that leave the door open for Lamont Roach to do better than he did the first time out?
Does Lamont win the rematch?
Farmer fight yet? Did they fight yet?
I've not seen the result.
Okay, shit. Hopefully I'll fight the winner of that. Or if Tank don't fight Lamont Roach, I would love to fight Lamont Roach.
Yeah, we're hearing that Tank and Lamont Roach is pretty much...
Or Tank. If Tank want to swap it, we can swap it too.
Do you think Tank, although that fight with you and Tank's always going to be the biggest fight, do you think he has to run that back before fighting you? To sort of put that right, would you want to run that back?
I would want to run that back, but I don't think he has to. He's one of the biggest stars in the sport, so...
If Gervonta Davis wins the rematch, don't count on him fighting Shakur Stevenson afterwards. It's already come out that had Gervonta won the Lamont Roach fight, the first one, he was going to move into some situation with Jake Paul, likely on Netflix. That's what he was going to do. He's got to settle affairs with Lamont Roach before he can move into that. And comparatively, doing one of Jake Paul's circus fights pays better than rolling the dice with Shakur Stevenson. I mean, you just look bad with Lamont Roach, a super featherweight. With Shakur, you'd lose.
You know it.
The bottom line is, if Gervonta Davis wins the fight, Shakur don't get a crack at the apple, whereas if Lamont Roach wins, oh, he might.
Lamont's not a PBC fighter. If he beats Gervonta Davis...
Wouldn't be much need for a third fight. The first one was scored a draw, even though everybody knows Lamont Roach won. And if he wins the second one, wins it on paper, I think he's free to go, free to move on. Now that would be crippling for the PBC and what is one of their remaining flagship fighters. Gervonta Davis is one.
David Benavidez is the other.
If Gervonta Davis were to lose that rematch, it would be a disaster, and it feels eerily similar of Deontay Wilder's rematch with Tyson Fury, because their initial meeting, like this one, was scored a draw.
A controversial draw.
That fight, like this one, was a cherry pick gone wrong. Make no mistake, Wilder didn't land on Fury, and Gervonta didn't land on Lamont because they were looking for the best fight. It's the opposite, so that when they went into the rematch, well, you saw what happened to Wilder in a Fury rematch. Is that about to happen to Gervonta? If it does, then I could see Shakur Stevenson getting the winner of that fight, provided that the winner is Lamont Roach, who, if he wins, he would become WBA lightweight champion, making a fight between him and Shakur a unification match
That Shakur Stevenson sorely needs.
He hasn't had any luck getting Vasyl Lomachenko, the IBF champion, in the ring. He's not about to box his buddy Keyshawn Davis, who has the brown belt.
WBO title.
His best bet for a unification match in the lightweight division is if Lamont Roach once again shocks the world. Even bigger. That's what he's got to do.
He's got to knock Gervonta Davis out because he can't hope to win a decision. Look at how much effort went into keeping Gervonta Davis an unbeaten fighter. All the stuff you saw.
It's going to be even worse the second time out. The deck is going to be stacked against Lamont Roach to where the only way he can win is by way of knockout. And I know what you're thinking, that Lamont Roach really isn't a knockout merchant. He's not a knockout puncher, but neither was Tyson Fury.
People tend to forget that before Fury trounced Wilder, he wasn't known for power, and he wasn't known for knockouts. He was known as a boxer, a mover, but not a knockout merchant.
People tend to forget.
And Lamont Roach, like Tyson Fury, isn't known for power, and he isn't known for knockouts. There are some interesting parallels to draw from the both of those situations, and history having a penchant for repeating itself, you never really know.
I feel like most people are expecting Gervonta Davis, the one they know, the one they love, to show up in the rematch, that maybe he didn't take him seriously the first time, but he will the next, and get the knockout.
As stated, if he does, he won't fight Shakur Stevenson. He'll go into that Jake Paul situation, which I think would herald his departure from professional boxing in the professional sense. So it's not all bad.
I never for a second thought that Gervonta Davis at any point in his career would start facing the best fighters, Shakur Stevenson among them, so that if he doesn't, if these are the twilight years of his career, then eventually he's going to drop that WBA title, some other contender will come along and pick it up, and the sport of boxing can heal and move on.
Who cares if he didn't fight the best? I'm not even disappointed because I didn't expect him to.
I just figure that the sooner he leaves the sport, the better. And if his exit involves fighting Jake Paul, then so be it.
Whatever. Just go.
Take your dumbass fans with you so we don't have to deal with them anymore.